The moment the flight attendant's voice cut through the bright cabin, sharp and cold, everyone in first class felt it, but the men holding the
Sir,
small
you need to take
backpack
your
felt
seat
it
now.
like a blade to the
Yes,
chest.
of course.
In the middle of a sunny afternoon, under the calm hum of a plane ready to cross the sky, a single father's quiet dignity was about to be shattered in front of strangers who had no idea how hard it had been just to sit in that seat. Before the story unfolds any further, take a second and support this journey. If you believe
Please,
in
let's remain
kindness,
calm.
second chances,
Everything will be
and
all right.
stories that remind us to see the human behind the situation, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Single Dad Diaries. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. Marcus Hale sat stiffly in his first-class seat, his shoulders tense, his eyes fixed on the oval window where sunlight poured in like a promise. It was daytime, the sky a clean blue, the kind that made everything feel possible. His hands were rough, marked by years of work, and they rested protectively on a worn photograph tucked halfway out of his bag. The ticket in his pocket had cost him almost everything he had saved, but he had told himself it was worth it. His daughter was waiting on the other side of this flight, waiting with questions and hopes he prayed he could answer. Marcus had not always been a single father. Life had once been softer, warmer. Then sickness came quietly, then loudly, then all at once. Since that day, every morning had been a battle against exhaustion, guilt, and fear. He worked long hours repairing elevators, came home smelling of grease and metal, and learned how to braid hair from online videos. He learned how to pack lunches shaped like smiles. He learned how to hide his own pain so his child could believe the world was still safe. The flight was supposed to be a small reward, a moment of ease. His daughter's grandmother had passed, and Marcus was flying to bring his little girl back home, to hold her and remind her she wasn't alone. When the airline mistakenly upgraded him, he took it as a sign that maybe, just maybe, the universe was giving him a break. He wore his cleanest shirt, though the collar was frayed. He kept his eyes down, knowing he didn't look like the others around him, knowing judgment often came before understanding. The flight attendant, a woman named Corinne with a flawless uniform and a practiced smile, stopped beside him and scanned her tablet. The smile faded. Her posture stiffened. The air around them changed. She told him there had been a mistake, that this seat wasn't meant for him, that he needed to move. Her voice was loud enough for nearby passengers to hear, and heads turned like sunflowers tracking discomfort instead of light. Marcus tried to explain without making a scene. He showed his boarding pass with trembling fingers. He nodded politely, apologized even though he didn't know what for. His heart pounded as old memories rushed back, memories of being told he didn't belong, that he was out of place. Corinne's impatience grew, and with it, the humiliation. She insisted he gather his things. A man across the aisle sighed dramatically. A woman clutched her purse tighter. As Marcus stood, the photograph slipped from his bag and fluttered to the carpet. It showed a smiling girl with missing teeth, her arms wrapped around his neck. He picked it up quickly, his face burning, his throat tight. In that moment, first class felt smaller than any cramped seat in economy. It felt like the world was reminding him of his rank, his limits, his place. He followed the attendant down the aisle, past curious eyes and whispered assumptions. Each step felt heavier than the last. He wasn't angry. Anger took energy he couldn't spare. He felt tired, deeply tired, the kind that settles into bones. He wondered how he would explain this day to his daughter if she asked why his eyes looked so sad when he arrived. What Marcus didn't know was that the delay he caused had triggered a routine check at the gate. A supervisor named Elaine Mercer reviewed the manifest, the upgrades, the notes attached to certain passengers. She saw Marcus's name, the reason for his travel, the record of a bereavement exception and a system error that had flagged his ticket incorrectly. Elaine moved quickly, her heels striking the floor with purpose. Back on the plane, Corinne felt a knot forming in her stomach as she received a message on her device. Her face drained of color as she read. She looked down the aisle and saw Marcus standing awkwardly near the partition, holding his bag like a shield. Something shifted inside her. The rules she had clung to suddenly felt thin compared to the weight of what she might have done. Elaine boarded the plane, her voice calm but firm as she addressed the situation. She clarified the error, confirmed Marcus's right to the seat, and apologized on behalf of the airline. The cabin fell silent. Corinne's knees felt weak. In front of everyone, in the bright honesty of daylight, she did something unexpected. She knelt, not dramatically, but sincerely, her eyes wet with regret, and apologized to Marcus for her assumption, for her tone, for her failure to see him as a human being first. Marcus didn't know what to do. He stood frozen, the moment surreal. Then he helped her up, because kindness was something he understood deeply. The passengers looked away, some ashamed, some thoughtful. Marcus returned to his seat, the sunlight warmer now, as if the sky itself had softened. As the plane took off, Marcus stared out the window and felt something loosen inside him. He wasn't healed. Life wouldn't suddenly become easy. But he felt seen, and sometimes that was enough to keep going. He thought of his daughter's face when she would see him, how she would run into his arms, how none of this pain would touch her if he could help it. Before this story ends, if this moment meant something to you, if it stirred empathy or reminded you of a time you were judged too quickly, please engage with this video. Like it, share it, and let others feel this message too. And one special request before the final moment, please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. When Marcus landed that afternoon, daylight still strong and steady, he stepped into the terminal with a quiet smile. He wasn't just a man who had been kicked out of first class. He was a father who had endured, a reminder that dignity doesn't come from a seat number, and that sometimes, the smallest acts of humility can lift us higher than any flight ever could.